अस्सलाम वालेकुम जी।
Hello everyone, Assalamu alaikum. This is APPS UK, the Association of Pakistani Physicians and Surgeons based in UK. Thank you very much for joining us. It is good to see you all. My name is Shaista Miraj and I'm a radiologist at Royal Bolton Hospital, UK. Today, APPS is honored to welcome our highly esteemed speaker, Dr. Arshad Taqi, President of Pakistan Medical Commission, PMC. PMC was formerly known as PMDC, Pakistan Medical and Dental Council. It was a long and arduous process when PMDC was dissolved and restored as PMC. And this created much anxiety among Pakistani medical professionals, including newly qualified doctors. So in this symposium today, we aim to clarify some of those burning questions. And also we will discuss what challenges PMC has in defining and implementing the regulations for medical and dental profession in Pakistan. And we will also discuss how PMC can help us overseas doctors, Pakistani doctors, overseas Pakistani doctors in renewing our PMC registration. With me, I have my co-hosts today, Dr. Irfan Rashid, who will introduce himself, please.
Thank you very much, Dr. Miraj. My name is Irfan Rashid, and I'm a Social Secretary of APPS UK. I'm currently working in Bradford, United Kingdom, and I'm a GP with a special interest in pediatrics, and also a graduate of Allama Iqbal Medical College, as Dr. Taqi is. So welcome.
Thank you very much. And I have Dr. Saeed Ali Raza with me.
Thank you. I am Dr. Syed Ali Raza. I am consultant oncologist currently working at the Mid Yorkshire NHS Trust, and I'm brand ambassador of APPS UK as well. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to invite Mr. Shakil Puri, President of APPS UK, to say a few words. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shaista. Assalamu alaikum and welcome all to another very useful, and everybody's looking forward to this symposium, which doctors are watching all across the world, particularly from UK and Europe. Dr. Taqi, we are very thankful in advance for your time and looking forward to hear your golden pearls of scholarly thoughts, so we can then be more confident about our members, doctors who want and give their services to Pakistani nation. I must add one little comment here. APPS UK is we are the largest and the longest established medical professional organization in United Kingdom. And we would like to work with all the provinces, all the medical colleges, and all the alumni of medical fraternity in Pakistan. And we're very, very proud to have you, Mr. President, amongst us today. And we look forward to hear and learn what your plans are and to assist you with these plans where and when required. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have Dr. Shahid Sharif with us, who is the Vice Chair of APPS UK. He'll also say a few words. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I am Dr. Shahid Sharif, and first of all, I welcome Dr. Arshad Taqi, and I congratulate him for becoming the president of the Pakistan Medical Commission, and we are hoping that we will have great achievements during this, and APPS UK will be working all the time in all the areas where we can help to help the Pakistani doctors and in Pakistan and also overseas in UK. So we are available, and there will be few things we will be talking about today. So I let Dr. Arshad Taqi talk about what his plans are.
Thank you very much. Thank you. We're going to have a brief introduction from our panelists as well. So Dr. Ishfaq Ahmed.
Hello, hi, can you hear me?
Yes. Thank you.
Yes, so I work as a consultant in emergency medicine and acute medicine in the United Kingdom. and I graduated from Buckeye Medical College in 2004. I've been actively involved in academic teachings, and I've trained more than 5,000 doctors in the United Kingdom. Most of them are international medical graduates, so I'll be talking about issues to the IMGs we have.
Thank you very much for your time. And we have Dr. Abdurrahman Shahid with us.
Assalamu alaikum. Dr. Abdurrahman Shahid from Germany, working in BG Emergency and Trauma Center, which is well renowned in Germany and Europe. And yes, I have did my emergency medicine specialty, and now I'm doing in anesthesiology. And I'm also a social worker and helping like together with APS UK and some integrated professionals. So yes, from my side.
Thank you very much. And we have Dr. Abdul Hafiz.
Thank you very much, Dr. Abdul Hafiz. I'm the CEO of Association of Pakistani Physicians and Surgeons of UK. I graduated from Aga Khan University. I'm based here in Manchester for last 21 years. I also sit on General Medical Council, which is the counterpart of PMDC or PMC now in UK. And I've been sitting on their BME forum for the last 10 years. So there has been a lot of interactions with previous management of PMDC, and obviously this will continue with the new leadership. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone, for your time. And to the audience, to the viewers, please do share this Facebook live stream with your friends and colleagues. Thank you for that. I'm now very pleased to invite Dr. Arshad Taqi to give us current situation at PMC and what challenges and plans are lying ahead. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Assalamu alaikum. It indeed is an honor and a pleasure, and particularly the pleasure that you let me meet my old friend, Dr. Shahid Sharif. It's been how many years, Shahid?
Oh, it's
we spent 6 years.
Yeah, it's 25 to more than 25 years.
No, it's 25. You're kidding.
Yeah.
It's been a long time. Yeah. I mean, see, we spent countless number of hours in the cafeteria, Allama Iqbal Medical College, 6 years together. So it's a pleasure coming back and meeting him. But and thank you very much for giving this opportunity. So let's begin with Pakistan Medical Commission. A bit of a background, as you said, it was a stormy course. This actually came to me as a surprise, but the ordinance itself, but it was actually enacted under some conditions of duress because the things were going haywire at that point in time, and the government thought that they needed to control the situation. Anyway, that's history. It was enacted through an ordinance. We were brought in. We were asked to start cleaning the house. At that point in time, the old employees were fired, and that actually raised a bit of a storm. We started working with the new staff, and the immediate few tasks that we had assigned ourselves was, first of all, to bring the operations back into 21st century from that centuries old way that they were being handled. Because the first thing that you talked about, renewals and registrations, so that's where I begin. And that was the first task that we thought we would begin with, because the doctors need to be facilitated, and that's the bottom line. But then fast forward, there was this court orders and then another battles, and eventually, once again, in the end, now this has become a law. So now we can talk about a more sustainable period, hopefully, and a period where all that uncertainty would be behind us. We are living a land of a bit of uncertainties and a time of uncertainties, but within that given framework, we are looking at a more stable period, hopefully. What this law aims to achieve is two things. From that old philosophy of a council, which was of an elected body of the members of the profession actually regulating the profession. Somehow with that mushroom growth of private medical colleges and that numbers became at some point probably outdated. At least at that point in time, and since last 8 years, it was felt that it was failing to actually achieve its primary objective. And that primary objective, let me clarify my thought about it, is not really providing job to the doctors, which of course is very extremely important. Or the primary objective is of course providing healthcare facilities to the doctors, to all our population. I say that, and I say that kind of informally to friends with whom I can talk with a little more openness, is that in Pakistan we talk about quackery. There is that subset of patient who is going to go to a faith healer when they get unwell, and that's not our problem. That's their choice. There is a subset of patient who is going to go to homeopaths, who is going to go to hakims, and that's a path that they choose. Our biggest problem is patients who go to the doctors, assuming that they will get a certain standard of care according to those prescribed methods. And our biggest worry is that if the society loses that trust in the doctors, faith in the doctors, then we are looking at a serious crisis, and that needs to be addressed immediately. And as an extension of that, our graduates need to be recognized globally as having gone through a system which ensures that their knowledge and the competence is at a certain level which is ensured. So these are a few things which we needed to be looked at immediately. So the concept was changed from, now the government decided to step in and then appoint their own regulators. So the first point the thought was that council was replaced by a commission, which is of course then entrusted to perform a certain task. And that commission consists of 3 branches, because previously the council had all the powers concentrated in one body and one office, which was the office of the registrar, and a council which was making decisions, but everything being implemented and controlled by the one office, and that was the registrar. So now there is that trifurcation. So I would begin with the academic board, which consists of representatives from the universities, private sector, public sector of the provinces, and the federal federation, some of the representatives from the general practice, some other doctors, the College of Physicians and Surgeons, Pakistan. So it is a 20-member academic board whose job it is to set the standards and make recommendations and all the parameters for medical education, both undergraduate and postgraduate education. The second component is the medical authority, which are those paid professionals, a 7-member authority, which includes a member licensing, a member education, a member examination, which are 3, which are actually dealing with the quality and the controls of education, examination, and the licensing. And then there are 4 other members, which means the legal, finance, IT, and administration. So these are those 7-member authority, which looks after the day-to-day, prepares the budget, makes proposals, and hires people. Everything from either from the academic board or from the medical authority comes to the council for approval. And that's where we sit. It's a 9-member council. For the first time, they have got representation from the society. That's the biggest question mark that some of our people fail to digest, and they think, why are the non-doctors sitting on the council? And they need to be reminded that society is a major stakeholder in that process, who are actually the recipients of all that care, and they need to be taken aboard on what kind of a doctor they want and what are their expectations from the profession. So this is that trifurcation of powers, wherein the council cannot directly intervene with the day-to-day affairs. They cannot tell the academic board what standards to set, which are purely meant to be recommended by the board. But everything comes to them for approval. So they are setting the guidelines. They have got this oversight function. So that's the first thing that you see, a trifurcation of the authority within this commission. So each one of them have their task. So that hopefully, once again, everything has been very clearly defined. Every role has been very clearly defined in the law. So we know what the council is supposed to, what their powers are, what their limitations are. Similarly, now the second important difference that we see from the previous council is that let's not forget the fact that the colleges are affiliated with the universities, and it is the universities which are supposed to conduct the examinations, award the degrees. So they are the ones who are directly supervising education. And universities actually fall under the Higher Education Commission. So undergraduate education, actually, if you look at what the reality should be, fall under the responsibility of the universities, which then should be looked at, kind of supervised by the Higher Education Commission, which, by the way, regulates all other education in the country. But the task of regulating medical education was actually taken up, I would say, by Pakistan Medical and Dental Council. There were times, and when we got involved, and I started looking at some of those decisions which came before the council, when they were looking at it, I could, as a doctor who does reasonable degree of reading and have been involved in some academics, could say that we did not really have the competence to do. It was to deal with. But then that's what history. We are moving forward. So what this law has determined is it has actually transferred the direct supervision of education to the universities, and through the universities fall under the Higher Education Commission. That's a major shift. So which means that the faculties, actually Pakistan Medical Commission sets the standards for education, sets the criteria for faculty, what should be the qualification, what should be the experience, what is the minimum requisite for this an undergraduate student to be taught, and what should be the curriculum. However, then the implementation of that curriculum and implementation of all that is the responsibility of the universities and the Higher Education Commission. So inspection of medical colleges, undergraduate medical colleges, now would be the responsibility of Higher Education Commission. There's a bit of anxiety on that, and that's what we're working on, because our immediate task is to make sure that we help Higher Education Commission develop the capacity to take over that task. We are actually having a meeting tomorrow, and it will be followed by a series of meetings, and we'll continue that weaning period till the time that everybody is satisfied that now they are able to do that. But that's their job. They need to be doing it. We need to be focusing on our job. And what is our job? Our job primarily is to issue licenses. So our job begins where the license, the student passes an exam and goes for a license. So first major shift has been that now we realizing the ground reality and something in addressing the concern by many of the overseas regulatory authorities that there are now multiple universities, multiple colleges, all standards who are awarding those degrees. And there is just so much you can do to control them. And that control in any case rests with HEC. So in response to that, the commission would then be holding a licensing exam. We will start working on the modality of that licensing exam, and that licensing exam was initially proposed to be held before the students got their house job, which means and immediately after their graduate exam. But now this has been kind of postponed till the end of their house job, 1 year house job, and they need to, before they get a full license, they need to pass that licensing exam. So that's a major shift. Once again, the admission criteria for into medical colleges. So this once again has been standardized that there's going to be one national exam, which we are holding this year. This was a short time, kind of a notice for us. But however, we managed to get all the universities together, examining universities together. We got them together with National University of Medical Sciences, which is going to set this paper, because at this time we did not have the time and the capacity to prepare it ourselves. That would be next year. So we got them all together for the last week, first 3 days. I was sitting with them personally for 3 days and actually agreeing on a common syllabus curriculum for that exam, so that no student feels that they're being deprived because of this, and everything is within that common curriculum. But there will be that one common exam at the level of entrance. So what we can do, or what we intend to do, is have a common standard at the entrance level and have one common exam at the exit level before we issue the license. So that's about undergraduate. Moving on, postgraduate exam education and all education is the responsibility of the commission, because now we have a licensed doctor. So starting from house job, the hospitals need to be supervised, the hospital need to be inspected, the hospital need to be working at at a certain standard. Because what we realize is that unless we improve the standards of teaching hospitals, we cannot actually improve the standard of medical education, undergraduate education, and postgraduate graduate education. So that's a shift, which means that we will be focusing more on doctors who hold the license and foreign. So that's another component. How do we plan to go about it? First thing is that there is something that we need to be doing very, very urgently, and that is automation of this whole process. We need to get human factor out of this. The first test is going to be our admission process. The law says that private medical colleges would devise their own policy for admission. There's been a lot of question mark on that question. And I understand that there have been problems with the way the students were admitted previously. But then there was the central induction, and we had tons of problems with the way that was handled as well. However, the law says that the private medical college, every medical college, has to give their admission policy 1 year in advance, which needs to be vetted by the commission, and then they can implement that policy. So enough time for every student to know what the admission policy of this specific medical college is going to be. And every document is going to be a public document. Everything is on the website. So we are not going to have any secret files anymore, except for any like inquiries or something which involve somebody's personal information. The second, this much about the challenge was that this year they did not have that 1 year in which to announce that. So we told them that we are going to have, for the last time, a central admission. But for that, we have already started working and are devising a portal wherein the students go apply on the portal, and all the information is there as public knowledge. So they go, they find what the colleges they are selecting, and they can select as many as they want. They select the college where their merit falls, any one of the many choices they have. And once they have selected, then the others become available to others, and that process goes on for a certain period of time and then closes. So we are going to test our capacity to develop an IT solution during this period as well. Meanwhile, we're working on an IT solution wherein the day the student registers, they are registered with us. And then from therein, that student gets a unique ID, which would, of course, then be given to every licensed doctor as well. And then that unique ID stays with that student for the rest of their life till the time they leave their careers or decide to retire or whatever. So during this period, each and every information actually is fed into the portal, into that, and there it keeps on adding to a person's information. So that means all the process of licensing, renewal, everything becomes automated and online, so nobody needs to go. As an immediate effect, if you go on to our website, what you may observe is that we have simplified the registration forms. We have taken a lot of those redundant information out of there, and the process has been simplified as it could. As an example, if a student wants a license and they produce the degree from the university, now we no longer ask them to go and produce their FSc and metric degree and get it verified from the relevant board if we have got any objection. The university has done all the investigation about their primary, basic, intermediate school degrees, and we are actually issuing that license on the guarantee of the university, awarding university that this student got a genuine degree, and we issue the license on the basis of that. So we are not going to ask for that information which was superfluous and which caused all this lots of bottlenecks. There were a few other areas which were actually delaying the process of licensing and registration. And one interesting thing was an issue of, and that's interesting, and I want to share that with you because that would give you an insight into why and how things were being delayed. And I can't really blame it on one individual, or it was the whole system which needed some rethinking. And the problem was that particularly in public sector medical colleges and also in private medical colleges, sometimes the students in a certain class would exceed the allocated quota determined by the commission. So when the college applies for recognition, they are awarded a certain quota of students each year based on their facilities that they demonstrate. So what would happen was that they would exceed that quota. Public sector medical colleges, because of certain people being admitted on certain quotas over and above those which were admitted on merit, and the private sector medical colleges actually admitting extra patients, getting extra patients because of failures and students being detained from previous classes. So what would happen is that when that class, this university, submitted the students' names for registration, the PMDC would actually then have an objection on that excess number of students, and that would cause a contention and delay the students' registration. And sometimes that delay would be delayed to the extent that the student had graduated. Now, when we took over, what we realized that there were students who had cleared their 5 years of training, had passed the exam, and were awaiting their provisional licenses to start their house job, had not even still being registered as students. And what PMDC would do was actually fine the college for exceeding that limit and then still delaying those registrations. So those conflicts. So what we have done is we have made it clearly mandatory that we are not going to allow you under a grandfather clause. So all the previous ones are now being closed. And for the future, we are not allowing any of the medical colleges to have any students over that quota. So they have got their quota. They can only admit or retain students in a specific class in accordance with the quota they have. And if they think they qualify for more students, they need to go and submit themselves for registration. Another thing that happened was that in 2019, for the first time, there was a very comprehensive inspection of all the colleges. And for the first time in the history, that involved inspection of the public sector medical colleges as well. And that was clearly accepted as that inspection actually involved not only examining their structures, like so much office space and so many classrooms and so many hospital beds, but actually on how the students were being taught. So there was this emphasis on that. And lo and behold, we actually got numbers, and we got those percentages, which were some at times shocking. And so, but then through a court order, some of those reports of those inspections were stopped from being public. And that court order has become now redundant. So we are going ahead and actually publishing those reports, those inspection reports, so that the students have a right to know that what college they are going into and what they are looking at. The colleges would know that from now onwards, their performance, their evaluation is public knowledge, and they cannot hide it from anyone. That also gives us some clue as to how public sector medical colleges are performing, because not due to any particular person's fault, but the fact is that their scores were consistently low because of lack of some very fundamental facilities like faculty, number. So these are those, that's another area where we are working in order to share more information with everyone, so that they can make informed decisions about selecting their colleges. Postgraduate education, we've got is another challenge for us. So A is that now we've got the College of Physicians and Surgeons, Pakistan. We also have got universities awarding degrees. And through a process of central induction and central residency programs, now the students are landing in the same unit, same department, from two different sources, which means they are graduate receiving their postgraduate degrees from the universities as well as the college. So there would be 4 residents or 5 or 6 residents doing their FCPS, and another 6 residents doing their MS or MD under the same supervisor in the same unit. So you could imagine that that's an area where we need to look at those issues. So that's I would rather give you more time for interaction, but one last thing that I need to say. So where do we our interaction fit in? My submission, and then what you want of us or what you expect of us or how we can be facilitating would be coming from you, and I'll be answering that question. What I request of you, and that's not President PMC, as a colleague, as a friend, who has been looking at the way our healthcare system has been evolving, and consider it off the record, on the record, whatever. The problem is that you people left, and you were the big brains, you were the great ones, you were the bright ones, and you went on and you did get proper trainings. You went to systems which are working in today's world. But then there was a disconnect, because previously we were taught by a generation of doctors, professors who had gone abroad, trained, come back, and taught us. So we assimilated, we kind of retained something of what they taught us. But then this became more of a one-way traffic. And because of our certain unique restrictions, visa restrictions on limited training slots, and then those financial incentives and all, those who went there, we didn't have many people going there and working there for a limited time and getting those insight into how the world works and returning to actually improve the system. So we have become more and more inward looking, and that is something I'm sharing with you from my heart. It's not like just President PMC. I share that with all my colleagues from my heart, and that's where what we are looking at. Yes, of course, every colleague that I meet, every one of you wants to come back and impart, and that's great. but then you are coming here for limited times. What we need to do is have a critical mass of people going there, training there for a long enough to at least understand how those system works and come back with their visions, horizons broadened. And we need to have that critical mass, because I'm afraid the people like me who have only been, who with that limited knowledge are getting at the helm of affairs. So unless something is done about it, we won't have many people with great insight to actually lead, and we need that number. And there I always seek help. That's where GMC comes in. That's where all of you come in. If you can somehow help us get that number going there, training for a limited period, and somehow an assurance that they are not going to get permanent jobs there. They are going to be asked to go back and, let's say, work for at least 5 years. That's what I request of you. Now, I leave there. I hope I've clarified a few things, and I'll be happy to answer any question that I can.
Thank you, Dr.
very
Taki.
much for your
I
time.
just need to, sorry, Shasta, I will just respond to that because it's a direct request. Dr. Taki, thank you very much. We are very glad that a person like yourself, who's so forward thinking, has become the president of PMC and doing so much to fast track the processes. We are already doing the training, the type of training you mentioned with Pakistan Armed Forces, and inshallah we can make it more formalized in formalized way. Now you've come to a stage and asked us what we can do for you. As the president of Association of Pakistani Physicians and Surgeons, I would like to formally request that we have a stock of very able clinicians, leaders and doctors all over the UK, and we can help with rules, regulations, scientific guidelines and standards. Would you please consider having a representation of our organization formally on an advisory basis in PMC, please?
I'm sure this can be seriously taken up. There is no bar to PMC actually forming committees for the purpose of achieving specific tasks. And I don't see any reason that we can incorporate few people into those committees, because that's I don't see any reason, and I would be too happy to recommend this to the board as well and use all our leverage to get this thing kind of incorporated in the.
Thank you very much for giving a yes in principle. I congratulate APS UK for this, that I know my members, my board members, EC members, they really are always thinking of Pakistan and they want to do something. This will build the confidence of the medical professionals even further to go and do things for Pakistan. Sorry, Shaista, I'll hand over to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Taki, for giving us a comprehensive outline of what PMC, the structure is, what the plans are, what the methodology is behind the registration, and setting up some standards. And thank you very much for talking with us as the president and as a colleague. Much appreciated. Thank you for making us feel part of it. Just wanted to say to the viewers, there are 5,000 hits on our live Facebook stream, so please do share it. A lot of doctors will benefit from this particular symposium, and there are questions coming at us thick and fast, so we will try and answer most of these. Dr. Abdul Hafiz is going to talk about the role of APPS and the collaboration we can offer along in the similar vein that Mr. Puri was saying.
Thank you very much. First of all, I really thank Dr. Arshad Taki to accept the request by our president. Obviously, this is the time then obviously to use the resource of Pakistani doctors who are working all over the world but our hearts do beat with Pakistan, and we want to do much more. We have come from Pakistan, graduated from there, and the skills we have learned over here, they are all transferable, or most of them are transferable. We have people working in very high positions within UK and other countries. Altogether, there are 12,000 Pakistani doctors who are registered with General Medical Council at this very time. And another 16,000 in America. And if we take into account Australia and Middle Eastern countries, there will be another 10,000. So it's like a 45,000 doctors resource, which is available for Pakistan. It's a matter of making the bridges and making those pathways where this resource can be used. APS UK has been working for last 16 years. And when we launched this organization, at that time, there were very limited help available for Pakistani doctors in the UK. But these days, obviously, the network is becoming bigger and more powerful. And we have much more say even within the NHS system, because our clinicians are making a huge difference, and they are creating the pathways and so on. So what I would suggest is, because we face so much difficulty in terms of when we interact with our regulator in Pakistan, because if we make a phone call or send an email, it has been quite difficult to keep up with our registration. So if PMDC actually makes this process very easy and electronic, I think most of the people in UK, most of the doctors here would like to continue their registration in Pakistan. So with this new digital world, we can actually easily, treat patients even from here based on our registration with MDC, and obviously regulated through that process. I know it's a little bit of challenging area as well, to develop those legal frameworks where doctors sitting anywhere in the world registered with PMDC can treat a patient and is obviously legally responsible for the care provided as well. But that actually means the deficiency of doctors or brain drain, which you have talked, we actually can use that. Second point, which we feel obviously PMC has to look into, is defining what is a specialist in Pakistan. I mean, when we go to Pakistan, we see every single doctor writing, I'm a specialist in skincare, I'm a specialist in pediatrics, I'm a specialist in different areas. But if we actually look at their qualifications, they might have just done a house job, which actually affects the patient, trust in a system. And the regulator has to define it and actually value the actual people who have done FCPS, who have done the hard work. Their effort has to be recognized in a way that the public can trust them, and the doctors can feel honored in terms of achieving those qualifications. There is another issue which we sometimes face. At the moment, because there is a very big Pakistani community living in UK, and my own children are going to medical school, they were born in UK, and I know PMDC or PMC accept the registration of GMC for the doctors who qualified within UK. However, this does not apply to dentists. If a dentist born in UK graduated from a UK medical school or dental school, when they go to Pakistan, PMC or previous PMDC did not have any collaboration with the General Dental Council, which is separate to GMC. Obviously, this is another waste of resource which can be easily used. Previously, obviously, when we go to Pakistan, or our surgeons or our clinicians go to Pakistan on a holiday, they would like to spend that time, or at least maybe a day or two, in terms of teaching, training, or even treating patients or doing surgeries. But if this registration is in place, obviously it will be much easy for those doctors, rather than at that time thinking I need the registration and process is so long that obviously by the time that registration come through, it will be another few months and the doctor is back, and obviously they cannot really deliver what they should be delivering. And I'm sure there are many people who are actually willing to work. Last point, I think it is time for PMC to enforce. I don't know how much you guys can do, compulsory medical records for the standards which our patient deserve. I know there are some hospitals with excellent medical records, but none of them exist in primary care. I think if you can lead us into enforcing this process, where at each stage, primary care, secondary care, a medical record is kept, and there are strategies which APPS UK can actually help and devise those systems. Because once doctor has written, a particular, findings and why a decision is made, only then somebody else can go and check whether correct decision was made or if there was any issues in terms of quality of care. I know there are lots of panelists, so I will stop here. Thank you very much for your time, and I really appreciate your assistance in terms of delivering a better patient care for Pakistan. Thank you.
So
Thank you
do I
very much,
respond to that?
and it's wonderful.
Do I respond to that? So can I? So first thing, just in response to that earlier suggestion, Dr. Puri's, I just cite section 8Q, which says which talking about the powers of the commission. The commission has the power to constitute from amongst its members or outside experts such committees as the council deems necessary to carry out its purpose and functions of the commission. So that is well within our power. It does not specify that they have to be experts from within or nationals or what. So experts are experts. So that is something that is well within the law. So that should not be something which is beyond the law. So coming back, I think 4 things that you raised require about recognition. And just if you give me just 2 minutes, our biggest problem was that our previous system was that every person who required a license, whether they had done their graduate degree from abroad or their postgraduate training from abroad and acquired a degree or a fellowship certification, had to apply as an individual, and every case was then assessed individually. The students coming from any medical college, anywhere, undergraduate, who were in the WHO list of directory of colleges, which is another joke, could come and appear in a National Equivalence Board exam and then get a license to practice. Though that 3-step exam with a 10% pass percentage. And I have come across students who have been there for 10 years appearing in that exam and still haven't managed their license. But then there are colleges, we unearthed college, which had 2,000 students per class, a total of 10,000 colleges, and a college which was situated in the 2nd floor of a building. So that was the kind of colleges we had to weed out. We have started preparing a list on a defined criteria of undergraduate institutes which are to be recognized, and also postgraduate degrees, which we recognize. So we recognize the degrees and not the individual, entertain the individual application. So if you're coming from UK and it's recognized, so you just need to, there's a form that we have just posted, which is a very simple form. Then you just get your license or your renewal. So that's something that we're working on. As soon as the system is automated, our IT people say 45 days. We think I'll be more generous and say take it 90 days. But if you can get us automated and everything online in 90 days, I'll be the happiest person on this earth. But that's where we are heading. That's where our IT people say they are taking us. Regarding the specialization and the issue of specialists. So if you look at our fresh renewals, we are only renewing the licenses now for 2 years. And we have already posted on our website that in these 2 years, we are aiming to shift from renewal to revalidation. So we are not going to be just happy with somebody getting a degree and then just getting it renewed every 5 years or 10 years and just paying us a fee for certifying with something about which we are not even informed whether this person is still a competent clinician or not. Our next aim is to move from actually revalidation and move towards credentialing instead of just blanket specialization. So a urologist may be a urologist, a trained urologist, but is that urologist also a transplant surgeon? For today, any urologist can go and start performing transplants, or any cardiologist can go and start performing interventions. So this is where credentialing needs to come in, because with the way the pace at which technology is advancing, we cannot leave this technology in the hand of untrained people. It's going to threaten their life, threaten people's lives. So we need to move towards credentialing, and that's where we are moving. So these are those areas, because as I said earlier, we have to restore and retain the trust of the society. A doctor who says I'm this needs to then demonstrate that this person is competent. About the people coming in for limited period, of course, Pakistanis coming in who already hold a license can go on and do. But if you want a temporary registration for anyone, for any purpose, who's come here for the purpose of teaching, once again, we've simplified the form. We have taken a lot of redundancy already from the forms. So what we could do at the first step was simplify the form. So if you go on the website and compare the forms that we have put up now, they are just 1 pages, most of them, instead of those 10 pages that you had to fill. Most of those useless things. So we are only asking for the essential information which gives us the proof that we require. Once again, electronic medical records, we would love to have them. And I was just proposing to someone that we need to get them first on the teaching hospitals, because that's where we need a proof that they are actually having the patients that we require for the purpose of teaching. That's a problem that I can tell you a few very good IT companies have developed extremely good EMRs here. The hospitals would not take them, particularly in the private sector. The issue is your taxation. And that's where probably that can only be implemented through the FPR and everybody then chipping in. But yes, that's where we need to. So
thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, during this discussion, we are answering a lot of questions and we are overwhelmed with the comments and shares. Thank you very much, viewers and participants, for engaging with us and asking all those questions. Dr. Irfan and Dr. Alireza are working hard in the background trying to categorize these. So we'll move on to our panelists. I'll invite Dr. Ashfaq Ahmed, who is a consultant emergency medicine in London, UK. Dr. Ashfaq.
Hi. First of all, I'm really very thankful to APAS for inviting me on this wonderful event. I would like to say thank you to President for giving such a, it has eliminated a lot of misconceptions which we were having. Of course, PMC is going to be having a big challenge because we know that Pakistan is one of the among few countries which is producing the highest number of medical graduates, and most of the countries, in America, USA, UK, we have Pakistani doctors working in every single hospital. So I would like to just talk about, because my background is teaching and training. I've trained more than 5,000 medical graduates in the United Kingdom. And I can talk about the problems they are having. And I would like President, Dr. Arshad Taki, to please take a note of these important issues. First of all, I would like to give my example. I came to UK in 2008. And in 2008, I decided that in 2018, I'll go back to my country after getting a qualifications. And that's what I did. By the end of 2018, I moved my family, I moved my kids. I just resigned from my job in UK and I went to Pakistan. Fortunately, we were offered a job, me and my wife, both were offered a job in one of the biggest tertiary care hospital of Pakistan as the in charge of the emergency medicine. But one of the conditions for that was to, we have to be a specialist registration with PMDC. And of course, we were eligible to get the specialist registration, but all this happened, and all of a sudden the PMDC stopped working, and PMC came into being. It's been more than 1 year now. We did wait for almost a year, and unfortunately, there was no movement, and we couldn't get the specialist registration. And finally, I had to move my family back after 1.5 years. So we did wait for 18 months to serve country, and we just winded up, we risked our careers in UK just to serve our country. But unfortunately, due to this problem, we couldn't survive. It was really difficult for us. I was going to and fro to UK to do the locums. So here I would like to say, if you have any foreign graduates or trained doctor who wants to come back and serve to Pakistan, I would like PMC to please help and facilitate them so smoothly that their jobs are done within days, maybe weeks or months. Please don't delay that, because when we come from, when we leave UK, USA, you can imagine what are we risking? We're risking our careers, we're risking our kids' life. So any overseas trained doctor, if they want to come back to Pakistan, please facilitate them and do as much as you can do and as smoothly you can do. The second point I would like to make is all the international medical graduates who are working in, who wanted to come to United Kingdom, they passed the PLAB exam, and they're still waiting for good standing certificate. It's very difficult for them to survive in United Kingdom without money, without financial backup. And you know how difficult it is to get the visa. Once they go back to their homeland, it's very hard for them to come back. And I've seen hundreds and thousands of doctors returning back home because they couldn't get the good standing certificate. And by the time they got the good standing certificate, their English exams got expired. And now it's hard for them to do the English exam because GMC will ask them again to do the English exam. So please, I know there's a long list of things in your to-do list, but I think those who are in overseas, foreign medical graduates, international graduates, please look after them. They are your asset. Third thing I would like to say, those who are going to Russia, China, Kazakhstan, or any private university from Pakistan, I know it's hard for PMDC or PMC to regulate, to find out what type of university is this. But I would still say those who are already in the pipeline, those who are already left the country, please don't, still give them a chance to appear in NLE. Let them prove, let them give a chance. Otherwise they will say they are in second year MBBS, they are in third year MBBS, and all of a sudden they will know that, oh, PMDC is not going to recognize, or PMC is not going to recognize the university. This would be very unfair for them. And third thing I would like to say, as a PMC president, it will be a huge responsibility on your shoulder. You have to make things fair for everyone. Fair means whoever is graduating now, when you're implementing an NLE, please do it in a way that it should not affect the timeline of any doctor who was already graduating, or he's under the, he's in final year MBBS. We have a UK MLA coming up in United Kingdom in 2022, but they announced in 2014. So they gave a sufficient time for the graduates to, medical students to think about it. And I think NLE is a very good step, which will improve emergency, all the services in Pakistan and the quality of doctors. But implementing all of a sudden, this will just displace 20,000, 50,000 doctors all of a sudden. So please introduce it in a way that maybe, I don't want PMC to wait for 8 years, because I know in Pakistan things change so quickly, but give them 2-3 years time. Let them plan, let them make their things clear for them, and so that they can appear. So this way you can treat everyone fairly. Now, other important thing I would like to say, from our perspective, like as a doctor working in Pakistan or as a doctor working in GMC, I'll give an example of General Medical Council. as a doctor, we don't really care who is governing the General Medical Council. Is it the Queen? Is it the Parliament? Or is it the armed forces or government body? Or we really don't care who is governing the PMC or PMDC or GMC. All we want is a very fair system where everyone should be included and everyone should get an opportunity to give back to their country. Those who left for Russia, those who are leaving for China, they are spending their own money. They are not getting money from Pakistan government. It's your asset. It's Pakistan asset. If there may be some deficiencies, they can improve by doing some courses. Like GMC is recognizing 160 medical colleges of Pakistan. They don't know who are those medical colleges, but they take an exam, PLAB exam, where if anyone can pass the exam, they can work and practice in United Kingdom. So I think most of the things being told by all the senior members and Dr. Taki has made things really, really clear for us that what are their aims, how are they going to achieve it. In the last, I would like to say only one thing, which I think I wasn't planning to say, is about the emergency medicine. I would request PMC to please recognize member Royal College of Emergency Medicine as a specialist degree, because India, Pakistan, all other countries, MOH, Dubai, UAE, everyone recognize MRChem as a specialist degree like MRCP. With this degree, we can have thousands of doctors who can, emergency physician who can work as an emergency consultant in Pakistan. So far, we have only 8 or 9 MRChem in Pakistan. And I can just tell you that India is producing 2,200, 300 every month, every year. So we are lagging far behind. It's just because if the PMC or PMDC recognizes MRChem as a specialist degree, then you can have hundreds of emergency physicians will be coming to you and serving their country. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. I'm really grateful to all of you, Apas. I'm really grateful to Dr. Taki, Dr. Shaista for listening me. And I hope I made my point. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shafaq Ahmed, for raising those pertinent points. Dr. Taki, if I can go straight on to the next panelist before we come back to the questions. Thank you very much. मैं अब उर्दू में बात करूंगी आपसे, थोड़ा चेंज कर लें अपना. हमारे पास बहुत सारे व्यूअर्स हैं, थोड़ा हमें लगेगा हम भी एक तरह से एंगेज कर रहे हैं, अच्छा लगेगा. हमारे नेक्स्ट पैनलिस्ट हैं डॉक्टर अब्दुल रहमान शाहिद, जो कि इमरजेंसी केयर स्पेशलिस्ट हैं फ्रैंकफर्ट जर्मनी में. अब वो हमसे कुछ बात करेंगे, कुछ पॉइंट्स वो हमें बताएंगे. शुक्रिया
जी, बहुत शुक्रिया एप्स यूके का इनवाइट करने के लिए और डॉक्टर तकी का उन्होंने हमें ज्वाइन किया हो आज. तो मैं बिल्कुल कंक्लूड करूंगा. ज़्यादा टॉपिक्स पर तो हमारी बात हो ही चुकी है. शकील पुरी साहब ने, अब्दुल हफीज साहब ने, रशफाक भाई सब ने बात की कि किस तरह प्रॉब्लम्स जो सी हमारी इस वक्त एग्जिस्ट कर रही हैं. तो मैं ये कहना चाहूँगा कि जब यूके का आप देखते हैं तो यूरोप को भी आप उसमें हमेशा याद रखा करें, जिसमें जर्मनी, नॉर्वे, स्वीडन, डेनमार्क, स्पेन, स्विट्जरलैंड, ऑस्ट्रिया, इनमें बहुत ज्यादा पाकिस्तानी डॉक्टर्स हैं जो काम कर रहे हैं और मेरे साथ टच में है वो. तो ये डॉक्टर्स भी पाकिस्तान आके तो वो खिदमत करना चाहते हैं और जो टेक्नोलॉजी है उसको पाकिस्तान में ट्रांसफर करना चाहते हैं. जर्मनी का जैसा कि आपने देखा कि कोरोना टाइम में भी उन्होंने बहुत अच्छा वर्कआउट किया और बहुत कम पेशेंट्स की डेथ हुई जर्मनी के अंदर. तो मेरी बड़ी ख्वाहिश है कि एमरजेंसी ट्रॉमा जो सिस्टम है इसको पाकिस्तान में हम ट्रांसफर करें. अब मैं बिल्कुल कंक्लूजन पर इस बात की आऊँगा. वो मैं ये कहना चाहूँगा कि पीएमसी के लिए हम क्या कर सकते हैं एज ए ओवरसीज प्रोफेशनल या ओवरसीज डॉक्टर्स, क्योंकि मेरे साथ काफ़ी ज़्यादा लोग मुंसलिक हैं. उसमें यूरोपियन साइंटिस्ट भी हैं, डॉक्टर्स भी हैं, आईटी कंसल्टेंट्स भी हैं, इंजीनियर्स भी हैं. तो हम सब मिलकर कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि हम पाकिस्तान के सिस्टम को बेटर करें. और ऑफ कोर्स मैं एक डॉक्टर हूं तो मेरी सबसे पहली ख्वाहिश ये है कि हम पाकिस्तान के हेल्थ सिस्टम को बेटर करें इस वक्त. तो उसमें मेरे ख्याल में हम पीएमसी के साथ मिलकर एक यूरोपियन एक्सपर्ट्स और प्रोफेशनल्स एक प्रोजेक्ट को डेवलप कर सकते हैं एज ए जॉइंट स्टडी ग्रुप ऑन डिफरेंट इश्यूज. और उसके अंदर हम गैप एनालिसिस को जो है वो अप्रोच करेंगे और हम उसके अंदर नॉलेज बेस्ड और साइंटिफिक बेस्ड मेथड्स को यूज करेंगे, जिसके साथ हम जो पाकिस्तान में गैप्स हैं और जो मिसिंग चीज़ें हैं उसको हम पूरा कर सकते हैं. तो PMC can play a better effective role of health system revival in future. So there are 2 important points. joint study groups, PMC experts, and European experts, including UK, and applying right methods for mapping, interventions, research, and development. So these 2 points are very important, I think, to find a real solution of this problem. And we need to, हमें उन सब लोगों को यूज करना चाहिए कि जो भी पाकिस्तान के डॉक्टर्स हैं और वो पाकिस्तान आके अपने, एक कार्डियोलॉजिस्ट है वो जर्मनी का, वो टेक्नोलॉजी पाकिस्तान ट्रांसफर करना चाहता है, हम उसको हेल्प आउट करना चाहिए। एक ट्रॉमा सर्जन है वो अगर ट्रांसफर करना चाहता है उसको हमें हेल्प आउट करना चाहिए। इस तरह डिफरेंट कंट्रीज का डिफरेंट सिस्टम है और उसके जरिए हम पाकिस्तान में एक बेटर सिस्टम क्रिएट कर सकते हैं। तो मेरे ख्याल में ये मच नीडेड है और यूरोप के जो डॉक्टर्स हैं उनको भी इसमें लाजमी आप रखें। जैसे बीडीएस का हफीज साहब ने बताया कि बीडीएस के डॉक्टर्स जो बॉर्न है वहाँ के, उनका लाइसेंस रिकग्नाइज नहीं होता। इसी तरह यूरोपियन जो डॉक्टर्स हैं, जो पाकिस्तानी बॉर्न जर्मन डॉक्टर्स या पाकिस्तानी बॉर्न यूरोपियन डॉक्टर्स, दे आर आल्सो नॉट रिकग्नाइज्ड इन पाकिस्तान। सो इसलिए उनको बहुत परेशानियों का सामना करना पड़ता है। एक डॉक्टर को मैं पर्सनली जानता हूँ जो 2 ईयर्स से बेचारे पाकिस्तान में बहुत प्रॉब्लम उनको हुई है। तो इस तरह वो लोग डिस्करेज होते हैं और फिर वो वहां पर नहीं आना चाहेंगे पाकिस्तान में। तो बस मेरी तरफ से यही बात थी। थैंक यू वेरी मच।
एक मैं सिर्फ बता दूं कि जो उन कंट्रीज को जिनके लाइसेंस को हम रिकग्नाइज करते हैं, अब उसके ऊपर हमने ये कर रहे हैं कि वहाँ का जो लाइसेंस होल्डर है वो यहाँ आके स्ट्रेट लाइसेंस ले सकता है। वो अगर कोई जर्मन है, he is who's a German national, पाकिस्तान का कोई ताल्लुक नहीं, if he decides to come and live and work in Pakistan and he's got a license in Germany, we will give him a license.
Okay,
so
thank you. That's a great news.
So, and about the dentist, once again, Dr. Anisur Rahman, who is the dentist on our on the council, is already preparing a list of all those qualifications which will automatically stand recognized dental qualifications.
Okay, great.
Thank you. We'll go on to discussion and Q&A session now. So Dr. Irfan and Dr. Ali Raza will start that.
Thank you. There's so many questions. I don't know where to start, to be honest, and I lost track of those questions.
Gigi, I think we never comprehended the interest which this particular topic has generated. I can see there are, I think, 21 questions in front of us here, and there are many more. I think the Facebook live stream is creating a lot more interest as well. It seems we may not have time to go through all of them, maybe 1 or 2 questions, but maybe we can plan another session because this is really inspiring in terms of, people always wanted a bridge of overseas doctors and Pakistani doctors and our regulator in Pakistan. And this modern world we are in, I think it is now easy. And I'm sure Dr. Taki, at a future convenient time, maybe whenever possible, may come back and we will take all those questions in more detail. But if we can just quickly take 1 or 2 questions each, 2 from here and 2 whatever you feel are more appropriate, then we will not go too far in terms of overtiming.
Yeah, I think that the most important, many people ask questions, the FMG, foreign medical graduates who's coming, which you, Shfaq Bhai already touched a point. What are your views? Some people have done the step, I think, NAB step 1. They don't know what to do next. And also they asked that partially they have passed the exam. So where they stand, what are your views on it?
So interestingly, so I have had more meetings. I have spent more time with foreign medical graduates during last 2 weeks than with any member of my family, any friend, everybody put together. So they've come, they've seen, they have actually, I've met them on outside of the lawn, all of them crowding me in the office everywhere. And we've given them what the proposal is. And by and large, I haven't seen anyone saying, no, this is not acceptable. So we said that we are going to look at, and here's the list of criteria. First, the college from which you graduated, the graduates of those colleges, were eligible for a license in that country. उस कॉलेज से जो बच्चा पढ़ा है, अगर वो उस कंट्री के अंदर कहता है कि जी मैं पास हो गया हूँ, मुझे लाइसेंस दे दें, तो वो कंट्री उस कॉलेज को लाइसेंस दे देती है, क्योंकि हमें ये पता चला कि कुछ कॉलेजेस ऐसे बने हैं कि जिनको उस मुल्क में भी रिकग्नाइज ही नहीं किया जाता, वो सिर्फ पाकिस्तान को डिग्री देने के लिए बने। सो दैट्स द फर्स्ट थिंग वी नीड टू फिल्टर दैट। आई एम सॉरी, अगर आप सबके हार्ट भी ब्लीड करें तो आई हैव टू टेक रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी। क्या आप किसी लॉ ग्रेजुएट आके कहे कि अब मैं NEB पास करता हूं, तो क्या आप उसे एक्विवेलेंस बोर्ड का इम्तहान देने देंगे? That's something that we need to, and there we need to draw a line. I'm sorry, some of them may be innocent, but then there are few who knew what they were doing. Sir, मैं आपको आपस में बताऊं कि हमने कुछ लोगों के वीजास चेक कराए इमिग्रेशन से. You know what their travel history was? For the 5 years, they had traveled for a total of 7 days outside Pakistan. अब आप उसको डिग्री देंगे? So you need to have set some criteria. अब वो क्राइटेरिया, अब हम ये भी कर सकते हैं कि जी अच्छा अब तो वो पास होके आ गए, अब उसको दे दें, बट वुड यू स्टिल से नॉट से कि पास हुए, कैसे हुए? सो पहला हुआ. सेकंड, देयर ग्रेजुएट्स दैट मेडिकल कॉलेज had an affiliated hospital which is recognized for training. So first, their degree is recognized in the native country. Their doctors are eligible for license in that, or graduates of that college are eligible for license in that native country. 3, the hospital where that teaching hospital is recognized by that regulatory authority for postgraduate training. And there are a couple of others that program was a 5 years program. So there are 6 or 7 steps. We are seeking that information not from the colleges. बिकॉज मैं आपको वो जो सारा प्रोसेस था उसको भी अगर मैं आपको इस वक्त डिटेल, टाइम नहीं है डिटेल बनाने का, अब किसी वक्त बताऊंगा कि द सिस्टम वाज सो फ्लॉड कि आप एक कॉलेज से डिग्री लेके आए हैं, फिर वही कॉलेज सर्टिफाई कर रहा है कि ये हमारी डिग्री है, और हम कह रहे हैं चलो अच्छी बड़ी बात है, अब हमने सर्टिफाई करा लिया. सो वी आर आस्किंग द एम्बेसीज टू वेरीफाई दिस लिस्ट ऑफ कॉलेजेस. हमारे पास अपना डेटा भी आ रहा है, हमने लास्ट 5 years का NAP उस एग्जाम का पूरा डेटा निकाल दिया, हर कॉलेज से कितने बच्चे आए, कितनों ने इम्तहान दिए, कितने पास हुए. सो वी वर्किंग ऑन दैट एंड इंशाल्लाह वी थिंक इन 6 to 8 weeks हम उनको कर लेंगे. अब वो बच्चे कहते हैं जी हमने इम्तहान दिया, हमने 2 स्टेप किए हैं. मैंने उस दिन उनको बिठा के दिखाया था, मैंने कहा जी ये तुम्हारा डेटा है, उनमें से हर बच्चा वो इम्तहान 4 दफा दे चुका है, फेल हो चुका है. ठीक है, मेजॉरिटी आपके बच्चे जो हैं उन्होंने 4 5 अटेम्प्ट्स में वो इम्तहान पास किया. जब आप डाटा निकालते हैं देखते हैं, मैंने कहा जी अगर आप चाहते हो कि हम आपको 1 अटेम्प्ट और दे दें और किसी तरह लॉ को किसी तरह करके, तो भाई तुम्हारा 10% पास होने का चांस है. सो आर यू हैप्पी कि हम तुम्हारे कॉलेज को रिकग्नाइज करके तुम्हें ब्लैंकेट पाकिस्तानी ग्रेजुएट की तरह ट्रीट करके तुम्हें प्रोविजनल लाइसेंस दे दें, तुम हाउस जॉब करो, वो NLE दो जो कि पाकिस्तानी ग्रेजुएट देंगे. हाँ, अलबत्ता आप लोगों के लिए हम एक एडिशनल टेस्ट रखेंगे एंड दैट वुड बी स्किल्स, क्योंकि हमें नहीं पता कि वहाँ हॉस्पिटल, तो 6 स्किल्स का हम आपके लिए टेस्ट करना आपको रखेंगे. बट दैट इज ऑल, यू विल बी अपीयरिंग फॉर द सेम एग्जाम दैट पाकिस्तानी ग्रेजुएट्स आर अपीयरिंग. सो ये हमने उनको कहा, एंड जिसने से भी जो भी हमारे पास आए हैं सब ने कहा कि सूसा हमें बस आप ये दे दें, बिकॉज देयर इज दोस 5 or 6 or 10 स्टूडेंट्स और 2 or 3%, और माइंड यू सर वो 10 साल से इम्तहान दे रहे हैं, और वो उन कॉलेजेस से आए हुए हैं जो सबसे ज्यादा शोर मचा रहे हैं. सो कॉन्टेक्स्ट देख लीजिएगा, बिकॉज यू वोंट वांट. और हमने एक बड़ा सिंपल हम ये यार्डस्टिक देते हैं, जो भी आता है मैं उसे कहता हूँ कि मैं इस डॉक्टर का आपको रिकॉर्ड दे देता हूँ, आप अपने किसी डियर वन को इससे ट्रीट करवाएंगे, अगर नहीं करवाएंगे तो फिर मुझे ना कहें इसको लाइसेंस दो. So that's something. I have a bleeding heart. I can assure you that, sir.
Over to you, Ali. We can ask questions.
Well, I have a lot of questions. So most important questions. What would be the frequency of NLE exams? Like PLAB exam is conducted 4 times a year.
Probably we are looking at 4 times a year.
Okay,
we are looking at, and like we would actually, loud thinking, we could actually be asking GMC, PLAB to say, okay, would you be interested in holding your exam in Pakistan where we have just loud thinking, where you have a different cutoff, we have a different cutoff. And if our students have passed that exam and they have reached your cutoff, you don't have to ask for another exam.
That would
I
be
mean, that's it. That's something that we need to sell to our graduates. But that is something that we should be looking at, we should be thinking about, that the licensing bodies, because see, remember, जब आप in response to that question, कि आप उनको ज़्यादा time दें, so we are looking at 2023, wherein FAMER, ECFMG have actually put our registration on the hold. We are on temporary hold. If we do not come up with something which shows that we are providing sustainable quality, our graduates will no longer be eligible, will be out of that directory. We need to do this before 2023, sir. That's our problem.
okay. Second question is there any plan to streamline NLE with postgraduate entrance exams? Because doctors are saying that there are so many exams in Pakistan.
See, the problem is if this is aligned with that entrance exam, then we may be thinking, but for that, see, we have got two pathways at this moment. We are trying to work out a connect between CPSP and universities and form some kind of a common curriculum and everything. However, then that exam would become a tough exam because that would involve then basic sciences as well. Because if, once again, loud thinking, if our NLE is kind of geared towards just ascertaining one thing, is this person a safe doctor? And we start from there, and then we raise the bar till the time we reach that PLAB level. So at this point in time, we just need to ensure that they get used to a common exam, which at least ensures that they are safe doctors. I mean, I'm not talking about curriculum because that's for the board to decide, but that's the way we need to look at, because then that exam would become a tough exam and people may not get their licenses then. Remember, आपका FCPS Part 1 का pass percentage 20% है, पिछले 20 साल से 20% है. So अगर हम ऐसा इम्तिहान दे देंगे तो वो 80% जो FCPS Part 1 में फेल हो रहे हैं उनको लाइसेंस भी नहीं मिलेगा. So there are two. You remember, get the disconnect.
So just continuing this, as you mentioned, कि FMG का जो है वो 10% result आता है, FCPS 1 का 20% result आता है. People are thinking that for in NLE, again, percentages would be same, and this would be a disaster. What is your take?
So would we be actually looking at a disaster जहाँ पे कि 12,000 बच्चा MBBS करके बैठे और हम उनमें से 1,200 को लाइसेंस दे देंगे?
Exactly.
So that is harakiri for us. I mean, we just trying to ensure something. We are just trying to ensure that they are those basic parameters that they've reached, that basic minimum competence. And remember, sir, they are graduates from Punjab, they are graduates from Balochistan, they are graduates from Sindh, from KPK, remote areas. We are not looking at failing people. We are looking at just ascertaining a few basic things, so that then the universities then begin to realize that they cannot get away with this. They have to produce some quality. The medical colleges need to realize this. Sir, हम उनको वहाँ नहीं पकड़ेंगे तो कहीं नहीं पकड़ सकते आपको.
This is reassuring.
A very quick question, Ali, before you conclude. Anything, Dr. Taki, you planning to do regarding medical college admission test exam?
So वो तो अभी हो रहा है ना इस दफा.
No, any people are saying about the loss of improvements needs doing in that exam, like you're doing other improvement.
Yes. We had this meeting, and interestingly, our experts who in chemistry from KPK was there, and he said, "Okay, यार, आप तो डॉक्टर बनाना चाहते हो, आप इतने आसान सवाल क्यों पूछते हो?" On the other hand, हमें आपको पता है कि सिंध की 6 यूनिवर्सिटीज ने हाई कोर्ट में रेट की कि इन्होंने इस MD कैट की पास परसेंटेज 60% की है. कोर्ट को कहा गया कि इनको ऑर्डर किया गया है कि उसको 33% करें एंट्रेंस क्राइटेरिया को, जिस पे कोर्ट ऑफ कोर्स डिड नॉट अलाउ देम दिस. बट सी, पॉइंट इज दैट if you want to raise the bars, don't try raising the bar too high in 1 year. we need to also realize that these children are coming through a system which has prepared them to a certain level, and that level can only gradually be improved.
Can I ask one question?
Sure.
It's very simple. Is PMC issuing good standing certificate now, or what is the method? Because in my previous experience, I had to send someone to Islamabad to collect the PMDC certificate. So
दो चीजें बड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग मैं बताता हूँ. एक, हमने ये किया है कि परसों पहली जब मेरे स्टेंट था तो प्रेसिडेंट आरिफ अलवी का एक एडीसी आया, उसने कहा कि जी प्रेसिडेंट साहब का रिन्यूअल आया है तो उनको मुझे बाय हैंड में लेके जाना है. तो आई सेड कि आई नो ऑफ ओनली वन डॉक्टर आरिफ अलवी एंड दैट ही इज अ डेंटल सर्जन इन कराची, और उनका जो लाइसेंस बना है वो कराची उनके एड्रेस पे जाएगा, कॉरियर के थ्रू जाएगा, किसी के हाथ में नहीं जाएगा. सो अल्टीमेटली हाफ एन आवर लेटर वी हैड अ कॉम्प्रोमाइज. हमने कहा कि ऐसे करो, आप इस्लामाबाद को कोई एड्रेस दे दो, उस पर कॉरियर करेंगे, आपके हाथ में नहीं जाएगा. तो अब हमने एक किया कि हमने कहा है कि कोई बंदा कोई सर्टिफिकेट किसी बंदे के हाथ में नहीं पकड़ाया जाएगा, इट गोज थ्रू अ कॉरियर. सेकंड, फ्राइडे को जब मैं शाम को निकला था तो मुझे इन्फॉर्म कर दिया गया था कि जितने पेंडिंग गुड स्टैंडिंग थे वो हमने निकाल दिए. मंडे आई गो बैक एंड कंफर्म कि कोई रह नहीं गया. मैं रैंडम खुद भी चेक कर रहा हूँ, और हमने उस दिन खुद बिठा के उनको कहा जितने गुड स्टैंडिंग पेंडिंग है. सेकंड वेरिफिकेशन थी, वो क्रेडेंशियलिंग के डिपार्टमेंट, वी सेट अप द डिपार्टमेंट, वी हैव रिटन टू ऑल द रेगुलेटरी अथॉरिटीज, जीएमसी ऑस्ट्रेलिया, ईसीएफएमजी, और उनको कह दिया है कि जी आप इस एड्रेस पे क्रेडेंशियलिंग पे आप ईमेल करें, एंड विद इन 24 आवर्स वी विल सेंड यू द. थर्ड थिंग, गुड स्टैंडिंग में हमारी वेबसाइट पे हमने पहले भी डाल दिया था. सो अब हम दोबारा आई थिंक 2-3 दिनों में एक्टिवेट वो हो जाएगा कि यू कैन जस्ट गो पुट लॉग इन एंड फाइंड आउट कि जी मेरा गुड स्टैंडिंग है कि नहीं है. That's where we are taking कि अब आपको वहाँ से नहीं, but regulatory authorities को credentialing, so that's something that we have already started.
That's quite reassuring, and I know we are running short of time. I think my question was missed जब मैंने बात की थी. More interesting, important thing was regarding the MRCEM. Are you thinking of getting it specialist registered like MRCP? Because I have done both the exams, and I can assure you that MRChem is surely a difficult exam than MRCP. तो आपका, क्योंकि उसके बगैर आप इमरजेंसी मेडिसिन को पाकिस्तान में इम्प्रूव नहीं कर सकते, उसके लिए क्या आपके पास ऑप्शन है?
सर पहली चीज मैं कि मुझे से कोई ऐसी स्टेटमेंट ना दिलाइए जिससे फीलिंग हो कि मैं किसी के वो अथॉरिटी पे इन्फ्रिंज कर रहा हूँ. ये जो चीज़ है, अब जो स्ट्रक्चर बन रहा है उसके अंदर रिकग्निशन मेडिकल अथॉरिटी की रिकमेंडेशन पे होगी या मेडिकल बोर्ड की रिकमेंडेशन. आई एग्री विद यू एंड आई फुली एग्री, एंड वी नीड टू मेक अ केस एंड से कि जी ये इसमें होना चाहिए और इसको उस लिस्ट में जाना चाहिए. बट एज आई सेड, वी started working on it. We are not making decisions because council is not supposed to be making these decisions. Council is going to be approving authority. This is just an interim period. The board is expected to be announced as soon as they say within a week. We have already placed ads for the member positions, and they will come and they take charge of. So licensing goes under the member licensing, and they are the ones who do this. So we are actually, I won't be trying to do their job. What we can do is that we can request you, send us the material, we forward it to those people and say, okay, we want a report on this as soon as possible so that a decision can be made. So we'll be here to facilitate the decisions.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And Dr. Saeed Aliza is going to announce next symposium.
Yeah, yes, we have some interesting symposium on our way. On 25th October, we will have Dr. Faisal Sultan, Federal Health Minister, with us. On 1st November, we will conduct a session on CV writing, on interview skills and visa application for the UK. And on 15th November, we will have a session on PLAB symposium. Just want to say one more thing, Dr. Arshad Taki. This session was really reassuring for our doctors. They were frustrated, they were confused. And I think after this session, many things are very much clear, and the trust of the doctors on the new PMC must have restored now. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And I think I'm there. You can write to me. You can send me an email. So I'll try my best to respond करने में देर ना हो.
Thank you.
Inshallah.
Thank you very
That
much.
was
Thank you
very
very much.
reassuring.
Thank you.
Khuda Hafiz.
Mr. Puri is going to conclude today's symposium now.
Thank you very much, everybody who took part to arrange this. I'm very thankful to Mr. President, Dr. Arshad Taqi, for his very valuable time. I must say there are well above 10,000 people who reached and watched us in many, many countries. Mr. President, we are very thankful once again for illuminating and taking this time to clarify many, many things in our minds and our members' minds. I will be writing to you formally with regards to how we can come and assist you on a formal basis. Thank you very much for your communication since you become the president. We've been talking on a regular basis, and thank you for listening and implementing such a streamlined and easier system. For example, the portal and the online registration, and making the good standing certificate very accessible. We will be in touch. We will be communicating. On one last request. Alhamdulillah, we are very blessed to have a man of your caliber leading PMC. Please, I know you want to do a lot in a very short period of time. Do look after yourself, do look after your family and your health, and inshallah, we will be in touch. Thank you all.
My wife is
AppsUK
listening.
team.
So.
Thank you very
Very
much.
good. Behind every
Thank
successful
you.
man, there is a lady. So thank you to Bhabhi
Yeah.
for supporting you once again. And inshallah, we will be in touch. To all my team and the viewers all across the world, thank you very much for your time and listening. Please do share these valuable thoughts of Mr. President all across your social circuits. And inshallah, until the next time, Khuda Hafiz and Jazakallah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.